I was absolutely devastated. I was in a hotel in Scotland and I had woken up at 4 in the morning and I grabbed my phone and I looked at the results and I just couldn't believe it. I was completely devastated. I think it's the worst thing that happened since I remember, and I'll never forget that moment. The results have taught me quite a lot about the UK. It was probably the fact that I was aware that there were differences, but I didn't realise how dramatic these differences were. I think I knew of the poverty in the north. I knew the extent of the damage that the Tory party had done over the years, but I didn't realise to what extent that had happened, and it was quite a shock to me. A personal story, yes. I mean, I have family who actually live in Europe, so it is going to be difficult for us, whereas before we went in and out quite freely. That won't happen any longer. But I think the worst thing is for my children. Two of my children are practicing musicians, and for them it's going to make life, and all musicians, very much more difficult. It was fine when they travelled to China and America and the visa system, but throughout Europe they just used to get on Eurostar, play in Paris, come back, and now that's, now all those openings of all those countries they're going to have to get visas for, at a cost too. And musicians do not earn a lot of money, and that's a huge impact on them. Well, the Leavers think that they are the winners, but unfortunately I think they are the losers, because I think this is going to be very much to the detriment of our country, of our people, and of our society. We've already seen racist abuse that's brought in because of the Brexit vote. It's given people an idea that they can talk rudely to anybody. We've seen it now with the coronavirus, with the Chinese too. I think it's going to impact on our society in unmeasurable ways. The Leavers seem to think that they're going to get back their sovereignty, and I feel that we've actually lost our sovereignty. They think we will be able to trade with the world. I think that's going to come at a huge, huge price, because we're just a tiny little country now. We're not the country that we were in Victorian times. And I think whatever we look at, whatever aspect we look at it, whether it's health, and I work in health, we've had a huge impact. We are losing our nurses. We've lost our doctors from the EU. We needed those people. We needed the research that went into this country. It was a huge, huge thing, the research. We were the biggest research in Europe, and now we're going to lose that. We had more money than any other country for research and from Europe, and we're losing it. And it's so sad. And we have built all these things up over the years, and this is all going to fall apart. The Irish border question was an issue that I thought about when I cast my vote. We've had peace in Ireland now for a number of years, and it's been wonderful, that freedom of movement, that peace in our society. I look back, at the terrible times of when we had bombs going off in London, and it was frightening for everybody. That has stopped because of the Irish Peace Plan, because of freedom of movement, because of all these things. And it was so important for our country then. And unfortunately, I think that this whole problem with the border being in the sea is just ridiculous, and it's not going to work. One word to sum up how I feel today would be devastated. Devastated in so many ways. Devastated for our country, devastated for society, devastated for our culture, devastated for our people. Just devastated because people are so inward looking, and there's no altruism now there. They don't look outwardly, they don't look at others, I just feel devastated for our society. Travelling outside of London in the UK, I've travelled more to Scotland because that's where relatives live. So I do that journey. But actually my son did work in Sheffield, and I used to travel there quite a lot to see him. But the last years he moved to Oxford, and so we haven't done that. So there has been a change. So I haven't got the perceptions of people up north and nearly so well as I do the perceptions of people in Scotland. I'd like to add the fact that I thought the campaign was handled very badly by the Remain people. They were overconfident. I didn't think Cameron handled it correctly. But then I thought that the other side were completely unprincipled in their thing, led by Dominic Cummings and Farage and these and series of very right-wing people. And I really feel that they manipulated the people. And it was that manipulation on Facebook and on other social media sites that I felt that the people did not really understand what they were being asked about. Yes, they understood it was about leaving the EU, but they didn't understand just what that would mean to the country. And I think Remain was very bad at actually selling that to them. So it was both sides. One was manipulation, the other one was undersell. And I do think that Cameron could have also gone to the EU, and the EU could have responded a little bit better on his behalf, because there is a problem with immigration and freedom of movement that has occurred throughout Europe, and we're seeing it now with the far-right groups. So there could have been some sort of communication there, but unfortunately there wasn't, which actually led to the Leave voters being even worse. So I think it gave them an excuse. So I think that was a really unfortunate happening, well, that didn't happen. And I think the EU could have actually helped a little there.